Every age tells its story through power and through the rare minds that dare to understand it. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Tonight, laws 4 through 6. If the first 3 laws were about survival, how not to threaten the master, how not to trust blindly, and how not to be read, then these next 3 laws are about something more active, more dangerous. They are about the currency of perception, how it is created, how it moves through the room, and what happens when it begins to collapse. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. The man who speaks too much reveals his limits. The man who speaks less becomes whatever the room needs him to be. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation enters the room before you do. It shapes outcomes before decisions are made. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Invisibility is not safety. It is irrelevance. In a world ruled by perception, to be unseen is to slowly disappear. 3 laws, 1 architecture. Perception is not the shadow of power. It is the substance of it. Tonight we listen to 2 voices, not to decide who is right, but to see more clearly what truly is.
Most men lose power the moment they begin explaining themselves. Not because they are wrong, but because explanation is exposure. The longer a man speaks, the more he reveals. His thresholds, his resentments, the edges of his intelligence, the shape of his need. Coriolanus was not ruined by military failure. He was ruined by self-disclosure. Before he spoke, Rome could imagine him as discipline, sacrifice, iron. After he spoke, they saw vanity, contempt, appetite. He did not lose power because the crowd suddenly became foolish. He lost it because he gave them material.
Or perhaps he became honest for one fatal moment. We call it failure because the world feeds on image. Maybe the deeper tragedy is that a man must remain hidden to remain powerful. Silence, then, is not only strategy, it is the shelter of projection. People pour their hunger into the quiet figure and call the result greatness. Then one sentence escapes and the idol cracks. So tell me, brother, when silence gives power, is it because silence is strong, or because listeners are busy worshiping what they themselves have painted into it?
In practice, the distinction is useless. Projection is an asset. Silence creates asymmetry. The less I disclose, the more aggressively others interpret, and in that effort, they reveal themselves. Louis XIV mastered this. He let ministers speak, argue, expose motives, form factions. A short answer from him, sometimes no more than "I shall see," forced everyone else to continue talking. They mistook his restraint for depth. It does not matter. The effect was control.
Scarcity that feeds dependence. Your king becomes vast because no one can touch him. But what kind of vastness is that? He is enlarged by distance, not essence. Remove the curtain, and the court may discover only another frightened man rationing words to preserve altitude. I do not deny the mechanism. I question the cost. To live by guarded speech is to become caretaker of an impression.
Freedom is a private luxury. Power is public positioning, which brings us to reputation. Silence protects a moment. Reputation protects absence. It acts before you arrive, speaks before you move, warns before you strike. Chuko Liang sat on the wall of an undefended city with almost no soldiers behind him, while Sima Ye approached with overwhelming force. No trap could be confirmed, yet the army withdrew. Why? Because Liang's prior cunning filled the empty city with invisible danger. Reputation made vacancy look lethal.
A phantom doing the work of an army, efficient, yes, but unstable. You build these structures in the minds of others, and then you call them yours. Yet minds turn, favor turns. Look at Mi Tzu Xia. When he was beloved by the ruler of Wei, even his transgressions were renamed devotion. He used the ruler's carriage without permission to visit his sick mother, and the ruler praised him for filial love. He offered the ruler a half-eaten peach, and that too was called affection. Later, he fell from favor, and the same acts became insult and deceit. Nothing in the deed changed, only the light around it changed.
Exactly. Prior judgment colors behavior. Mi Tzu Xia is not an exception. He is the rule made visible. Rommel benefited from the same principle at scale. His numbers were often weaker than the British believed, yet his reputation for cunning magnified him. Cities reacted to his name before they reacted to his logistics. Kissinger used a softer version. By the time he entered a negotiation, his reputation for brokering outcomes had already narrowed what others considered possible. That is the dividend of a well-guarded name. It saves effort. It preloads the room.
And what you call dividend, I call imprisonment. A man with a reputation must feed it, defend it, update it, cleanse it of contradiction. Every new gesture is judged not by what it is, but by whether it nourishes the monument. You say reputation protects absence. I hear that and think. Then the man has been replaced by an echo.
Power is maintenance.
Yes. And that is the heaviest sentence you have spoken tonight, because maintenance never ends. It wakes before dawn. It scans rooms. It corrects tone. It fears gossip. It calls this vigilance, but beneath vigilance is servitude. The king polishes the crown so long that one day he forgets whether he rules the symbol or the symbol rules him.
If you refuse maintenance, others will manage your image for you, and they will do so in their interest. Barnum understood this from the opposite side. Before he had a reputation worth defending, he attacked the reputations of others. He spread doubts about rivals, because doubt is cheaper than proof and more contagious than evidence. Once suspicion enters public space, denial often deepens it. Later, when his own name gained force, he moved from attack to orchestration.
And attention is its bloodstream.
Precisely. Reputation without attention decays. If you are not seen, you are diminished. Barnum made this principle theatrical in its purity, a fake mermaid. A woman advertised as impossibly old, a rumor that what seemed human might actually be mechanical. He understood that people gather not around truth, but around unresolved tension. Curiosity is pulled less by certainty than by irritation. Something in us needs the unfinished.
Like a cut, the tongue cannot stop visiting.
Exactly. And the novice believes merit will eventually attract notice. Sometimes it does. Usually it does not. Edison staged spectacle as aggressively as he developed invention. Picasso changed forms because familiarity weakens intensity. Once the audience feels it has understood you, your hold loosens. Surprise renews hierarchy.
Then Mata Hari becomes necessary. In her, the whole structure flowers and rots at once. She understood that men do not merely desire beauty, they desire the veil around it. So she offered Europe not only a body, but a distance, not only movement, but myth. Java, India, sacred dances, impossible ancestry. Each layer made her less knowable, and therefore more magnetic. She rose because people prefer a beautiful uncertainty to an ordinary fact.
Yes, she turned mystery into capital.
And then paid in full, because projection has no loyalty. The same space that once received fascination can receive suspicion. The same veil that suggests sacredness can later suggest espionage. When the world cannot verify you, it first decorates you, then accuses you. That is the danger in building power on ambiguity. Eventually, the ambiguity stops obeying the builder.
Only if calibration fails. Mystery must be measured. Too little and you become flat. Too much, and you become a threat. Mata Hari crossed that threshold.
Or perhaps the threshold was always a mirage. The one who lives by being interpreted eventually disappears into interpretation. Then applause and execution are only different masks on the same face.
So, what is your conclusion? Speak, but not too much. Be known, but not fully. Attract attention, but never depend on it. You reduce every principle to paradox.
No, I return each principle to its hidden price. You present three instruments of worldly power: restraint of speech, cultivation of reputation, command of attention. I do not deny their effectiveness. I ask what they demand from the one who uses them. How much self must be edited? How much spontaneity buried? How much life spent maintaining reflections in other minds?
Enough to shape outcomes.
Then say it plainly. Your art is not freedom. It is management.
Of course it is. Freedom does not organize courts, armies, markets, or crowds. Management does, structure does, framing does. History is not moved by those who merely see through illusion, but by those who can arrange it.
And still I wonder whether the arranger becomes another arrangement. Whether the architect, after years of shaping perception, can still remember the ground beneath the building.
If he wins, it scarcely matters.
It matters if victory requires permanent exile from oneself.
You've heard both sides. What remains is not said.